It keeps canceling.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order at 8:35, and we are verifying we have a quorum. Sorry, we all had a little bit of trouble getting in this morning, but we're here. First order of business. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order at 8:35, and we are verifying we have a quorum. Sorry, we all had a little bit of trouble getting in this morning, but we're here. Yep.
Hey,
Are we okay, Linda? Or?
We're all set now.
Oh, okay, good.
Thank you.
Bonnie, I'm still having connection problems with Bob. His phone keeps failing.
Okay, I contacted him last night and I sent him a couple of links, so hopefully he will eventually. Email didn't work either, John?
I'm not sure I have his email address.
I do.
Bonnie, can
Yeah, yes,
you
Bob.
hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Okay, just wanted to make sure. I couldn't get on and I had to switch rooms, and anyway, I'm here.
Okay, let me just give you Bob Berman's email.
No, I got it.
You got it? Okay. All right. As I said before, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of March 12th. Everybody's muted. You can unmute yourself, guys.
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Tarika. Any corrections, discussions? Okay, I have a couple. Joyce isn't here.
I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Oh, good. Oh, there you are, Joyce.
It's up in the corner.
Okay. The name of the company that the consultants went to see is Command, K-A-M-A-N. If you saw it, you'd know it. It just didn't sound right. You've got Command, so that should be corrected.
Okay, I'll make that change.
Thank you.
You have another?
No, this is just a comment to people. We were supposed to have someone from now. FHI is the consultant that's working on the plan of conservation and development. Is that correct?
FHI Studios?
Is that who they are, Joyce?
Yes.
Okay. I had asked to have them come up here and give us a presentation at some point. Has anyone reached out to them?
I have not. I didn't reach out to them yet, Bonnie, because got to see if we got to get through the TPZ first. The TPZ hasn't released it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
And the other thing was, I had asked that we have a meeting with the town. Well, first of all, the town center development is not an authority. The town center development is a commission. I talked to India about this morning because I had trouble finding it. And then I asked her, she said it was an authority, and I asked her what the difference was. That's my cat. And that wording will be changed. That's had 17 different names. But anyway, they had not met yet, which is why we have not met yet. But their meeting is their first meeting that I know of. Their next meeting that I know of is scheduled for May 21st at 6 o'clock. In council chambers, John, do you recall? I know it's in town.
Yes.
In council chambers. It will be Zoom. It will be hybrid, Zoom and in person. I strongly suggest anyone that can come just to get an idea of what is going on. So maybe we can take the initiative in kind of interfacing with them, because even though we are not the lead on this development, we are still the Economic Development Commission and Development Authority for the entire town. Let's see. And I think that those are all my comments or questions.
But Bonnie, if I may just make a comment, and I won't explain it because I don't have my formal notes in front of me. The distinction they're making in their name is in the statute. They don't have power under the statute under the other name, so they have to use the name that they're using.
Well, according to India, that's not the name that they're registered by, so we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a
Anyway.
formality, but she was trying to tell me that that's why I couldn't find them, and that's why they were set up on the website, which is all
Okay.
everyone's trying to do the best they can here. Any other comments, corrections, additions, deletions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes from March 12th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that passes. Until we find Bob, I guess we will go on. Commission member updates before anyone starts. I personally want to congratulate Bob Ferger. He is the chair, and Art Commission, Bob, is that the actual name?
Yeah, it's the Bloomfield Public Art Commission, but we just call it the Art Commission.
And a fabulous event at the Oliver Philly House this weekend. Poetry, music, tours of Oliver Philly, which if anyone hasn't been there, I probably have not been in that building since about 30 years ago. We thought they were going to condemn it. And it is, it's still a little open, but it's very interesting. They gave us a really interesting tour talking to us about the construction, that it was a fairly atypical construction, very high end for that time period. And congratulations, Bob. I'm very impressed that you, at least in the commission, got something done.
Thank you very much, and we're hoping this is this is my update for our commission here. This is a kickoff for us to do more events and apply for grants now that we can say we can do something, which will allow us to start commissioning things like possibly a major piece of art for the new library. So that's one of our goals. But thank you very much.
You're welcome. And let's just remind everybody for the record that I don't know exactly what the multiplier is, but it is a major multiplier for any kind of arts activity.
It's 6 times the dollars spent returned in current economic development and improvement. People come to an art event, they buy food. We had food trucks there, for instance, all local merchants selling there. So it's more than just the cost of the event, but people get involved in the community. Thank you, Bonnie.
And thank you. It was really a great event. Yes, Janice.
Linda, could you elevate Mike Goman to a participant, please? I saw he's on as an attendee. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the Goman and Newark EDC consultant reports. Do either you or Bob have any, or Dave have anything you'd like to add to the report?
I've just been very active meeting with people that are interested in opening businesses in town, smaller businesses.
In what area of town, Denise? If you could
a couple of them are looking at different parts of town, because one was a caterer that was looking to expand her business into a storefront. Another one is a current business that is going through some changes. We have a couple that we are talking to who have actually leased buildings in town, more in the industrial side. One of them has space that they may be able to lease to another tenant, and they've been going through a couple challenges, but they've been building out. It's a cabinetry business. So some good things going on. And then there's always challenges for people that we help out and talk with.
Yeah, I know. Dave?
Yeah, we're also scheduling a meeting with.
So your consultant is with you too, Dave.
Yeah, Dave, I could hear you. So
Am I off mute?
No, you're fine.
Okay. We talked, the new people at Pepperidge Farm, they've, changing a lot and expanding. So we're trying to set up something the first week of June with John and the new town manager.
Dave, do they still have an outlet?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Mike, is Mike here? Mike, anything you'd like to add?
Sorry, good morning, everybody. I was on mute. No,
morning,
I think
Mike.
I'm good. I'm Denise and I and Dave Driver and Brad Sempt, actually, we've all been kind of working in the background on a variety of different things that are going on. And a lot of communication back and forth with John Coleman on a variety of things. So we're staying on top of things.
Good to have you with us. I am assuming we are going to continue to have you as a support group as we move forward.
Yep, absolutely. And
Good. There's Lenny.
I think, John, can we talk about the update to the master plan? Is that
That is, yes, that's,
is that on the agenda? Sorry, I just
Yeah.
John, that might be in the Development Authority.
I'll
Oh,
leave
no,
it.
there it is.
Let's-
It's the
let's let
POCD is there.
John,
Yeah, it's
John
coming.
should give the update then.
Okay. Lenny, welcome. Can you unmute yourself and tell us if you have any updates for us on the Town Center Authority Commission group?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I want to be on kind of brief today. I'm at work. I got a lot going on, but
Okay,
no updates. We have a meeting next week at 6 o'clock, Tuesday, May 21st, at the town hall upstairs in room 5. So it's
Oh,
in
okay.
public. So all our meetings are public. So stop by, see what's happening, what we're trying to do. I have no updates as far as I haven't discussed anything yet. We don't know anything. We just want to get read in about everything, what's going on, what's the expectations, guidelines, deadlines. So that's what's up. That meeting's going to be about.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
good luck. I hope to be there.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any questions for Lenny? Who is Bonnie Berkowitz at the moment for some reason, but whatever, Len.
I saw.
I don't know. It's okay. I was wondering how I ended up twice. Okay. On to the town planners report. And again, the written report, which I think, Linda, you prepared for us, is that correct?
Yeah.
That is great. That is so, I don't know if anyone else goes the same way. That is so helpful just to sort of remind us what's going on in town, because there's so much that happens that we may or may not be aware of. So hopefully people had a chance to read that. Does anyone have any questions about that or comments? Okay, John, anything else you want to add to it?
The only thing I would add is we're working our way through the Doncaster application. They will continue the hearing a week from this Thursday. And the only other, and then if they get through that hearing and through that application, we do have a proposed planned luxury residential, or PLR, on Still Road, just north of Still Road Estates, that they'll start the process on. For I think around 28 units, which also has obviously got the neighborhood very interested. Let's put it that way.
John, are they going to be the same price range as the current development? Because that's gone through the roof with pricing.
I don't know. They actually, it's not going to be for sale. It's going to be it's a rental.
Oh, okay.
In rental. It's what they're so far saying. And the proposed age restricted housing development on the old drive-in site on Blue Hills Avenue is moving along, and we expect to have a formal application from them in the next probably 2 months. That's going to have an elderly housing, an affordable housing component, and they prepared a very well done affordable housing plan, which has actually been reviewed by Goldman and York, and basically signed off on by them. So that part is completed, and we have finally, I don't think we told you at the last meeting, we finally got the building plans for Popeyes.
Oh,
Popeyes is starting the process. They had the challenges that often occur with the state DOT in terms of their curb cut and traffic entrance on Tungus Ave. But I think they've worked their way through that.
Any idea when they're gonna break ground?
Well, their plans are in, so I would assume within the next couple of months.
Oh, great. Okay. Any questions for John? Anything else, John?
On the POCD,
Mhm.
the commission had its first special meeting last week, specifically on the plan. And in all candor, they had some significant concerns about what had been prepared as a draft. And they have sort of, not completely, but have sent it back to the drawing boards and asked staff and the consultant to make some, not necessarily, it's hard to say whether you want to call them significant or extensive, but make some substantial changes in terms of how the material is presented and how the report is actually organized. They felt that there really was not a cohesive trail through the report in terms of where we are and where we want to go and how we want to get there. And the consultants got the message. Basically, we've got about a week or 10 days to do that. And then we were going to get back with a small group of the commissioners to see if we're on the right track. And we will make a decision at that point as to what the next move is. But the hope is that we can keep it moving. We obviously are not going to be adopting it by the end of June. It's more likely that it won't get adopted till certainly late summer or early fall in terms of scheduling the necessary, once the commission finishes their review, scheduling the appropriate public hearings at a time when the public is in town. And, we're not trying to hold a public hearing on the TPC in the middle of July when people are away doing other things. So I would think that the commission would probably release it for general review within the next month. And then there'll be more public review and discussion subsequent to that. And I would think right now, my best guess is adoption would be early fall.
John, does that slow down the town center work? Because that was one of the concerns, I thought, that they didn't want to really do much of anything until they knew what the POCD was going to be.
Well, it will certainly discuss the town center, but not in detail that the town center report is hopefully going to do.
So they don't need this to go forward with start their work.
No.
Do you need it for
it should not hold that up at all in the.
Okay.
The POCD is going to be much more general than the town center report, and there's enough in the existing plan to guide the town center, and that's the existing plan isn't that bad, and then and in many respects just needs to be could have been just updated. That might have been one approach, but that was not pursued. But there's enough guidance there now that there should no be reason at all that the town center plan cannot move forward.
And what about grants? Does this affect our ability to get grants?
We have to ask for waivers every time, so it has not affected us yet. And I think that the fact that we're fairly close to the end zone should not affect us. But it has not affected us yet. But
It hasn't affected us at all.
It's annoying.
Good. We've had a lot of disruption in town. I mean, on all kinds of levels. So, any questions for John about the POCD? Thank you, John. Gail, you're the only public. Would you like to say anything?
Hey,
I don't see a hand raised or anything. Okay.
You poor guy. Have you not been able to sign in?
It's supposed to be Bob Berman.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone want to talk about anything while John's trying to figure out what's going on? This is unfortunate because well, part of what we'll talk about, I want to have a conversation about, John. Is he going to be able to get on?
He thought it was tonight. He thought you told him 7:30 tonight, so he's gonna sign in now.
I don't think so. So he's not available?
No, he's gonna sign in now.
Okay, that's good.
We finally went landline to landline.
Okay. Bob Berman is the chair of the Housing Authority. Is that
Yes.
okay.
He's chair of the Housing Authority, and he also, they have formed a separate not-for-profit organization, which he
And
can,
here he is. Okay.
there he is.
It was very important to me to have Bob at the meeting today because this is going to tie into what I think is a potentially very exciting and significant project for EDC, which is the Blue Hills Avenue TIF zone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Good.
Do you need to take a breath or are you ready to give us your lowdown on what you've been up to?
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Okay.
All right. The Housing Authority established a 501c3 last summer. And we've been looking around town and have come up with two properties that town owns that we're interested in possibly acquiring. What we want to do with them, and we want to do it in a controlled manner, is to take one of the properties and use it to provide housing, small homes. There's a company in Arizona called Boxall, which builds tiny homes, 434 square feet to roughly 20 feet square, fully furnished, for roughly $60,000. Shipping costs between $10,000 and $13,000, but that price would go down depending on how many we order at a time. But in order to do that, we first have to also, one, acquire the property, two, get it prepared, and three, well, actually, first is get enough grant money that we can go ahead and acquire the property, get it prepared, and then go ahead and start doing it. Once we can do that, then our goal is to, for every two buildings we have, we're going to sell one for low moderate income housing, keep the other one in our stock for rental. And we want to keep doing that. That's why once we can get grant money, I can keep churning the same dollars over and over and over again, which I think is a very effective way to use money. So I don't have to constantly look for money. Once we get enough, we can start doing that. Then it's just going to be an ongoing process. Our goal overall is to start off doing anywhere from 2 to 4, 6 buildings the first year and grow that over time to where we've provided somewhere between, our thinking was 300 to 500 low and moderate income houses in town. To do more than that, I have to find other property. We do not want to get into the business of doing this with apartments because then it becomes an issue of running apartments, managing them, and we all know what happens with apartments. They don't really last long. That's why in all the big cities and all the cities where they've done apartment complexes for low and moderate income housing, we all know that it blows up. But that's what the Housing Authority is trying to accomplish.
And what do you need from us and what do you need from the town, Bob?
Basically what I need from you, from the Economic Development Commission, is just the support. What I would need from the town, once we have some money that we can start doing this, is a willingness to deed to us these two properties. One of them is 743 or 734 Park Avenue. It's a narrow strip of land. It was deeded to the town many years ago with provision to be used for public use.
And where is that, Bob? Is that near the railroad tracks or?
No,
No?
it's on Park Avenue, above School Street.
So more towards the center of town. Okay.
Right. And it's 200 feet across and 893 feet deep. It's fully wooded. I drove by and took a look, and I walked over part of it a couple months ago. It do a lot of work to get it cleared off. Now, the back of it, there's an MDC easement, and it's wetlands in the back. Now, Peter Casale's not sure if it's still wetlands, because nobody's really taken a look at it, and he's not sure how many years. So, number one, we have to do a land evaluation of it. We have to survey it to make sure we have it. And I've been playing around with some different layouts for how to put the properties on it. Now, these box lot homes come fully equipped with everything. However, the ability to stack one on top of the other exists, and the ability they will have sometime within the next year and a half, is they can also ship another one the same size, but only having a bathroom, shower equipment. So that, and heating, of course. So you don't need a stove in the second one. You don't need, set up bedroom at all. It can be configured once it's here any way that we want it. For instance, we can make it into a 2-bedroom set there. Now we have a 3-bedroom unit. This type of thing. To me, that's an ideal way to solve the homeless problem as well as the low moderate income housing problem going forward.
Are these going to be single levels so that if there's any ADA issues that those are taken care of, or?
No, they've already dealt with the ADA issues.
Okay.
They have approval from, I think it's 18 different states now. They're selling them in Montana as well. Their first deal was with HUD in Georgia, where they've now delivered over 150,000 units.
And the name again, Bob, of the company?
I'm sorry, what?
The name of the company, please, again?
Boxable, Boxalbl.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Questions for Bob from the commission?
I would like to ask a couple of quick questions, Bonnie. Bob, I think all of us read about these. They're very interesting. What is the placement on the land? In other words, how big a parcel? You say the unit is 400 square feet. Are they stacked right next to each other, or
No?
How do you lay them out generally?
Okay, the way I envision laying them out, based on this one piece of property on Park Avenue, would be I would have them 30 feet apart from each other.
Okay.
With a driveway going down the property on the outside of the property. I would run the sewers, electric, and gas, and water underground right down the middle, so that, because they all hook up the buildings in the back. So that way I can have one trench going down. Hold on a second. Come on in. Let me get, I got my aide coming. I just had prostate surgery Friday. That's why
Oh,
basically not dressed.
move slowly.
Oh, I am moving slowly. Come on
Okay.
in. Door's unlocked. Come
I
on
didn't
in.
even know, John, that we own that piece of property. If I know where it is it kind of like where
Come on
Dunkin'
in.
Donuts is, or is it farther up, or? You're muted, John.
It's further east, Bonnie.
So where exactly?
I'm trying to, it's not far from where the convalescent home is. It's down in that area.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, while we're waiting for him, I
Yeah.
would just make a comment. In traveling in Scandinavia, they've done this in certain cities with actually the shipping containers, the giant containers that go on ships for cargo, turn them into apartments very successfully, and they're just about this size. Also stacking them, so it's a very doable concept. Fascinating.
I think it's incredibly exciting, and it's just, you know, there's such a need, and I think that it came as, it came as a surprise to me that there was homeless in town. You just, we're not what we expect to be the area where you're going to think it's everywhere now.
I did have one other quick question for
Yeah.
Bob. Bob, will there be some sort of an association or condo or co-op, or is this just strictly straight ownership?
No, there'd be an association. There has to be.
Okay.
It's a mix of rental and owned properties. So I do it with an association that would basically take care of the street, hire somebody to do the snow plowing. Everybody would be responsible for taking care of their own grass. We would not put garages up. What we would do would be to have driveways beside each house running off the common driveway.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I figure on this one piece of property there, I can get between 10 and 13 units on it. If I went with all single, I could get 18, but I'm doing a mix of of single units and then 2 side by side. And I can get anywhere from, as I said, from 10 to 13, depending on exactly how I lay it out. But I definitely want to keep 30 feet in between each unit. I know 20, I believe, is the minimum, but 30 makes more sense.
Any other questions? Anything from our consultants? Any comments at all?
One thing I want to add,
Yes, Bob.
I've been in contact with Brandon McGee at the State Housing Department, who informed me the state doesn't do grants, they do loans.
Okay.
Except Lamont has been talking about grants for housing. I'm hoping to next week to compose a letter to the governor, ask him about that, sharing this concept with him and seeing if we can get some grant money. I figure it's going to take at least $2 million to really get this thing rolling. $5 million would be ideal. My goal is to have this in process within the next 2 to 3 years, because as John knows, the older we get, the harder it is to keep things rolling. And if I can get this thing moving, while I'm still mentally and physically able to do a lot of this stuff, fine. I mean, I'm 82, John's what, 83? We're both in pretty decent shape for people of our age, but it ain't gonna last forever.
Yeah.
And as some of you know who know me, I've been telling council people in town for a long time, find me somebody to train for some of the stuff I do. More than willing to train somebody. Well, there isn't anybody who's willing. So I'll just keep doing as long as I can.
I think once this project gets a little more bandwidth, I think you're going to find people interested. I mean, this is just, it's a fantastic project. And,
yes.
and are there other questions? Denise, yes.
I just wanted to let you know, Bob, there is some HUD money out there on the federal level that you should be looking into for grant money too.
Yeah, the only problem with HUD money is that they put their stinky strings on it. We have trouble with HUD now with our properties in the housing authority. They keep changing their rules every day.
You know, let me check into it. We're working with a woman who's writing some grants.
Okay.
And she has a good handle on that stuff. I'll see if she knows any special ones.
Oh, good. Thank you. That would help.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Is there truly a market up here in the Northeast for these, or is there any areas in the Northeast that has these type of box housing or whatever?
Not up here yet.
So it's really going to be a test.
Yeah, it's going to be brand new. One of my commissioners saw them in Georgia, got excited about it. She owns some property on Blue Hills Avenue, and what she's planning to do is develop that property and do the same kind of thing. But she's got some money behind her, so she can afford to do a lot more than I can at this point.
Yeah.
We're available, as Denise said, we're available to help out. I mean, the issue of
Right.
affordable housing is pervasive across the Northeast, and our group here at Go New York has done quite a bit of analysis on affordable housing, both in terms of market
Right.
feasibility and financial feasibility and so on. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're on standby. You know, we're your on standby real
Right.
estate consultant for the town. So feel free to reach out to Denise or to me or Brad.
I will do that.
We
Yeah,
can help, or if you just want to have a conversation.
I will do that. I do know that at one point I'm gonna have to get the town attorney involved because make sure that we don't have a hiccup once we try and acquire the land. But the other piece of land I looked at is on Blue Hill, no, I'm sorry, on Cottage Grove Road around Douglas Street. That the town keeps trying to get rid of, and there are options that doesn't go anywhere. There's a lot of wetlands in that, and I think this is the kind of development, because they're small, tiny home type things, that we could successfully put a fair number of them on that property without affecting the wetlands. I mean, it's a thought. Right. But, you know,
Tarika, could I just ask for your comments? And this is your, field of expertise.
So I did have a question about it. I know Bobby mentioned that it would be land or properties allotted for rental, sale, and homelessness.
yes.
How would you allot who's gonna get what and where? Because I know when people are trying to buy, they're purchasing, they're looking at also their neighbors and the surroundings when they're determining the value of their houses.
Okay. We would do a lottery system. If everybody apply in the lottery in the three different categories, it's a different number of family members. And once we had that lottery set, we had those results, then we go through the applications to see which ones were valid. As an example, we did an open enrollment period of 1 day, a little over 2 years ago. We had over 7,000 applications in the 24 hours. Of the 7,000, 5,000 of them were complete. And we chose 250 names from each of the three lists: singles, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. And we've been working our way down that list. And we brought in, I would say, 7 of those people. They're on the different lists in our existing properties as some of the people in our properties moved out. One of which I know was homeless before they came here. She moved in, she had some subsidy for rent. Of course, we got some help from HUD on that too. And then she was able to find herself a job that paid her enough that she could afford to pay the unsubsidized portion of the rent. She's paying us, I think it's $75 a month. And HUD's picking up the other, trying to remember how much it is, $240 or $250 a month. But, I know the need's there. I've known for a long time the need was there. And it's just a matter of how do you go about dealing with it. And the idea of apartments, as I said, short term, yeah. Even condos. You have all these condos attached to each other. So they think they're separate housing, but they really aren't. And I've seen what's happened with some of the condos in this state that were done that way, I'm going to say 10, 15 years ago. Doesn't last that way. You have to give people a sense of ownership of the property to make it work.
Tarika, does that answer your, I hear your concern. I think part of it may be an educational process to explain that a homeless person doesn't necessarily live in a tent in a field. A homeless person may be someone living on their cousin's couch.
Yep.
So, and again, it's just, I know when I have buyers or, people looking to purchase properties, they're not only looking at the place that they're looking at, they're looking at the surroundings of it. So my question was like, if you have it like in a circle, is that what you're saying? You're having a circle common
Right.
back?
Yep.
Is it going to be like the left side is for purchase, the back is for whatever the case may be, and this side is over here is for rental? Like, how is
No.
this side is all mixed up?
No, they'd be mixed.
Okay.
They'd be mixed up. I think that's a better approach to it, because that way people who are renting will have some peer pressure from those who own to keep their property up.
And have you ever considered possibly project-based units?
Yes. we'd like to do that, but to do that, you got to build the units first. And I've had 2 inquiries from potential investors who want the tax credits. Both of them changed their minds when we started to discuss things.
Because that would
I
be
don't know why.
that would be an
I don't-
option for the homeless, quote unquote.
I'm sorry, what?
That would be an option, like another option for the homeless, quote
Yeah.
unquote.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be very much a process.
Yes.
And I'm glad that we can hopefully be part of it. Sadiq?
Yeah, just a simple question from Bob. How long have you been doing this and at what places? You might have already said this. Can you really educate me on that? How many years you have done it and in one area, what areas? And my other question follow-up would be, with your experience, how long is the life of these units that you build? I mean, you have some guess like 30, 40, 50 years, or they can last longer?
All right. The Housing Authority has 16 units, scattered site houses around town. We have one on Woodland, one on Tunxus. We have a duplex on Park Avenue. We have a duplex up on Blue Hills Avenue. We have a duplex and single on Taft. We have one on Glenwood. We have one on Englewood. We have 2 houses on Marguerite. So we're scattered around town. All these houses the town acquired in the Housing Authority when the state decided to get out of the business of housing and turn it over to the towns. That was back in the 1970s, 1980s. All those houses were built back in the 20s and 30s. Now, we're maintaining them, but it gets harder and harder every year because they're that old. I've been on the commission for Housing Authority for, let's see, 9 years. I've been chairman for 8 of that. And when I came on, we had issues with HUD because the commissioners in the previous years never could get a quorum for a meeting, so they couldn't do anything. And HUD was unhappy. HUD was all over the case on us, and we got that all cleaned up. We got the properties fixed up. We got a firm in to take care of cutting the grass and plowing the snow. We were originally, when I got in, we were associated with the Windsor Housing Authority. That quote marriage fell apart when Windsor Town Council and some other people in town decided they didn't like the direction the Housing Authority and some of the other entities in town were going, and they started to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I said, I don't need to be a part of this. So we separated ourselves from it. We have a part-time executive director, a part-time coordinator. They run the show. I sign the checks, and when there's an issue that they're having difficulty dealing with a tenant, for instance, then they'll ask me to get involved. Otherwise, we let them run the show. But I've been involved in this particular thing as head for 9 years. But as some of you know, I've been involved in this town for a long time, very long time. I've seen the development in the last 8 years of a lot of high-end houses and high-end apartments. I know at one point Bloomfield had a low moderate income housing percentage of something like 14, 15%. We're down to roughly 11%. And once you factor in all the apartments that are currently being built, have been built in the last year, and are going to be built within the next 2 years, we're going to be under the 10% minimum. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Because they're building high-end apartments because people are coming. They want them. And I see what the mixes are for people moving in there. And yeah, that demand is not going to disappear. But conversely, we have at the other end, we have a demand that's to me is even more vital for the growth of the town as a mixed community in every aspect of the word mixed. That's why I moved to this town in 1973. It was a mixed community. That's what we wanted for our family. That's what I want to keep this town being. And I'm doing my best to try and do that.
Thank
And
you.
if I can add, Bob, we also owe something to the people that we built this town on. So these
Yes.
seniors that have now been, and this has happened in so many communities that are being priced out of being able to stay in their homes. This is another option to keep that community in place.
Right. That's one of the
And it-
reasons, for instance, when I was on town council, Joe Merritt had the idea of why don't we put it away for people to stay in their homes by freezing their taxes until they can no longer stay there and they sell it or ownership turns over to another member of the family, not the spouse. And I said, it's a great idea, Joe. And then I went to work and found a way in which we could make it happen. And we have that in place in town. It's one of the ordinances. And people take advantage of it. Even though they have a future tax lien on their house, in comparison to what the house is worth, it's small.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Bob?
I had
Bob,
one
thank you.
other,
Go
I
ahead.
had one other
Yes.
question. It's not really for Bob, it's really for Gorman, York, and Bob, because I thought we had a mission where we look for workforce housing, and how does this play a role in that? Is that the parcels of land that's available based on the readings, is Mr. Berman going to be able to address those areas? I'm just trying to figure out how they work together, because it seems like you got housing, then you got affordable workforce housing. So how does that work together?
That's a good question. I'm not sure the answer to that. I mean, I don't know what the income and price point of workplace housing is.
Workforce housing is geared more towards the, two-person income, but they aren't at very high-paying jobs. They're at minimum wage or slightly above, trying to make ends meet. So they're living what a lot of people would say paycheck to paycheck. They're also your young police, firemen, teachers that are just coming out of school with school loans that they have to pay back. So, you're looking at some of these kids coming out of school with, $400 to $600 a month school loans. So, a lot of communities are looking at that as workforce housing and what they can afford.
And the price point between the two? Is there a difference between affordable housing and workforce
Well, I
housing?
think there are a number of levels. I think you have to think about. One is sort of the lowest of the low income is typically you'll hear it called Section 8 housing.
Right.
And usually in today's world, the recipients of Section 8 housing receive a voucher towards paying housing, and they can kind of choose from a range of available housing, as opposed to the days when authorities would build Section 8 housing and sort of assemble large groups of low-income people in one building. So the switch over the years for Section 8 has been to give them vouchers and let them choose where to live. Then from there, you talk about from Section 8, which I said is the lowest of the lower income, then you typically move into what's called affordable housing. And when we talk about affordable housing, usually the metric is a percentage of area median income. So you'll hear it, that people will say, well, this project is aimed to be 30% of the residents will be at 80% of area median income, or AMI, and 20% will be at 60% or 50% of AMI, and maybe 20% will be at 25% of AMI. So that's what we would refer to, and what is from a regulation standpoint is referred to as affordable housing. What I think we're talking about here is what we would call, and the term is usually used as attainable housing, which is the group that Denise was talking about. So these are people who are working, they're lower income people. They may or may not fall into that 80% or 60% of AMI, but they may be able to, they may have enough income to pay rent at market rate at the lower end of that scale, or they may be able to buy a house at market rate, but at the low end of the market scale. So I think it's sort of what issue are you trying to address? What are you trying to solve for? And I think given that Bloomfield's already over the 10% sort of threshold where you get into what's called 830G applications, Bloomfield's not below that 10% threshold, so someone couldn't come in with an 830G application. Given that you're over that, you're probably talking about the group that Denise is referring to, which is attainable housing, often double income, no kids, but minimum wage jobs. And maybe it's their first home, or maybe it's their, they just got married recently or partnered up recently, and they're looking for housing. Look, this type of housing is, it's a great idea. We often say that, here in the US, we know how to build affordable housing, market rate affordable housing. We've been doing it since the end of the Second World War. What happens is towns regulate it to such a point that they make it too expensive to build. And you can't build, there was a time when Montgomery Ward sold houses, and like Bob Berman's describing, they delivered them on trucks. They were 1,000 square foot houses, 2 bedrooms, single bath, no garage. The classic
Levittown.
or Levittown, exactly. Levittown out on Long Island and Levittown north of Philadelphia. And I mean, if you go to those communities today, they're beautiful communities. People have added on a bathroom and another bedroom and built on a garage. They're landscaped. The area is really matured dramatically, and they're really nice areas. So it can be done. I mean, it's an interesting concept, and I think it's again, we're available to help out. Bob, if you need anything, John Coleman has to be in the loop. We technically we work for John. So feel free to reach out to John or to us through John, and we'll do what we can to help out.
Thank you. The thing we're talking about when we're talking workforce housing reminds me of starter homes back from 50, 60 years ago.
Sure.
Same concept.
Exactly. That's right.
Just different term.
Yeah, that's right. We certainly know how to do it. We have a long history of doing it. It's just what we've done is we've regulated ourselves to the point where it's driven costs up and made it impossible to build that sort of housing at that price level.
Lenny, I have a question for you about these prefab houses. I had read at one point that was considered actually a sturdier structure because it was quality controlled. It was done in an environment that was controlled rather than building outside. Any comments on that?
No.
No, I'm talking to
I
Len.
mean, we see that sort of stuff. I mean, if factory built or modular housing is factory built, I mean, the quality level is very high, or it can be. I suppose depends on the provider, I suppose. But the distinction to draw there is between manufactured housing and modular housing. Manufactured housing is an entire house, essentially kind of a trailer park home is the easy way to think about it. And the whole house comes in on a trailer. And the issue for communities in Connecticut, a lot of communities around the country with those, is that all they have to do is meet certain standards, and they can essentially avoid local standards by arriving as a complete unit, as essentially a trailer. Modular housing, on the other hand, is factory built and arrives in sections. And because it comes in on sections and final assembly happens on the site in the town, those have to meet current codes, current local codes and requirements and so on. So most communities we find they strongly favor modular housing. We're actually working with a local community here in Connecticut right now that's looking at a fairly large scale modular housing development, and that's an issue. But I mean, the quality that we see in good quality contractors and good quality builders in modular is great. I mean, they're at least as good as locally built, ground up built housing, if not better.
Lenny, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think when you're dealing with quality, again, a lot of quality control in these factories when they're being built, and then they have to be shipped, and then they have to be unwrapped, and that's what another quality control comes in to make sure that it's not dinged up and nothing shifted inside, especially in these smaller, these small type of structures. But the whole infrastructure has to be put in to flip the slabs. I guess the slabs got to be put in, or these sit on slabs, and all the infrastructure has to be laid out exact with very little tolerance for the sanitary and the the water, as well as whatever electricity or gas is going to be, electric is going to be used, and the whole infrastructure has to be laid out to the T, and boundaries and zoning and a whole bit. So it's a lot involved with it. Like you said, prepping the land to make sure that no surprises, right?
Yep.
So yeah, so that's where the money's at, and prepping that land and make sure that and how, setbacks and all that stuff has to be put in place. They want to build more on and out and so forth. So I wish you luck with that, and yep.
Yeah, thank you. Boxable comes literally in a box, and they unfold the box and then put the roof on.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
look
yeah?
at their Mike,
You look at the videos, it's just
website.
amazing.
They're very
Wow.
cool. So there's a company out there also called Tenfold, which started doing it with retail units years ago. And now they're into building it into hotels and housing. So
I just also want to add real quick that, check also the state code for these tiny homes, that they meet the Connecticut state code. And I only say that because what could work in Georgia because of the climate there might not work here with the tiny homes. So it's really important just to check with the building code requirements on these, with the type of windows and all of that. I just want to add, because it's been something that's been brought up to the building officials too. And so they just kind of check with that. Just make
Yeah,
sure
they're-
that those tiny homes are also in compliance with the Connecticut State Building Code when putting them up. That's all.
I can tell you, Boxable's selling buildings now in Montana. So, and one of the things I was told, though I haven't been able to check it out to verify it, is that people are buying them for winter lodges. So that implies that the installation is good and they meet winter codes.
Okay.
I've been told that they meet national codes. I don't know how that varies from Connecticut codes, though. But yeah, they have to meet Connecticut codes, and they're aware of that. I've had a couple conversations with them over the last 6 months.
Great. Bob, this has been really a fascinating presentation, and EDC is here. We're here if you
Right.
want to come back and talk to us again. You're welcome to stay on to the meeting. The next thing that I don't think is actually on the agenda, but that I want to talk about under the development agency is the Blue Hills Avenue TIF zone, because this ties into what you're talking about doing.
Yeah.
So please feel free to stay.
No, I'm going to sign off because my aide is here. I got stuff I got to do.
Great. Okay. Thank you. We'll be in
Thank you.
touch. Thanks, Bob.
Yep. Bye.
Good luck. John, on the development agency, the town center plan, I guess we sort of addressed that already because we don't know anything yet, right?
Say again, Barney?
The town center plan, now we're into development agency. That really, I think we talked about that. We said there's a meeting coming up on May 21st. I don't know if there's any updates other than that.
No, other than the general agenda for that meeting. And I don't know if Lenny's seen a draft. I don't think we've sent a draft out yet. It's going to be, there'll be a discussion of the charge of the committee as set forth in the council resolution. There'll be a presentation by the town council, town attorney, about their authority and whatnot. There'll be a introduction of myself and as staffing the committee. There'll be an introduction of Goldman and York, who are going to be the selected consultants to the committee. And then I think a general discussion on going forward in terms of meeting schedule and things of that type, schedules with the consultant in terms of production of work and the schedule for the preparation of the town center plan. I think that the hope is that a contract will be put in place shortly with the consultant, and that I know that they're prepared to move immediately. And I think they're looking at a 10 to 12 month window but don't hold me to that, to prepare and present the proposed town center plan to the town center agency, and then the agency will move towards adoption. And I think we're looking at basically a 10 to 12-month window from the moment we start that specific process to completion. So putting that all together, maybe a completion, by June of next year on the outside. I would,
Thank
we
you,
all
John.
know that the consultants are going to be Goldman and York. They're the selected ones. They may want to chime in, but they also may want to wait until they have a signed contract with the town. I'll defer to them on that.
Yeah, the prudent thing for us to do would be to wait until we have a signed contract with the town, but I don't have anything to add or to object to to John's summary.
And
So
one comment I'd like to make, and I just pass it along to the town center agency, be careful that you tamp down expectations, because when you talk to people who are not in real estate, who are not in construction, they think the minute this starts, you're going to see the town taking over the center and we're going to tear everything down and build a brand new shopping center. And I just want people to understand it's a process.
Bonnie,
And
we're
yes,
currently
I
doing
can tell
one.
you, my conversations with the chairman of the town center development agency is that he's a very practical individual who and also a realistic individual.
Yes.
And he's going to move with appropriate diligence and time, and is not going to rush to decisions, and I think is not going to allow the group as best he can to be rushed to decisions, and I think will work very well with the selected consultant and coming up in the appropriate time with the appropriate reservations in terms of expectations going forward. I think he is not one to raise expectations beyond reality.
Well, I served on the EDC with James Michelle for a number of years, and I absolutely agree with you. He's not who I was talking about, but okay, I'm just sort of putting it out there. And again, please, I really encourage you, if you can't attend in person, to at least attend the Zoom, because I think it's very important that we stay involved. And even though we are not going to be the lead, we are still we are still the overall authority for development in town. Any other questions for John about the town center plan? Okay, I'll get to public comments if there is any, but I do want to just talk very briefly. John and I took a ride yesterday down Blue Hills Avenue because I wanted to see what the tip zone was. I'd kind of forgotten it, and I did share that document with everyone. We don't have to go over it in detail now because we're running, this is a pretty long meeting, but I'd like you to take a look at it. Tell me if you have any questions. And John, would you just, which I don't think you see in the document, just tell them, share with the commission what you shared with me as far as what projects are in the works or potentially in the works in the tip zone.
This is in the Blue Hills TIF zone.
Right.
We have the renovations to the library. We have the proposed age-restricted housing up on the cinema site. We have a grant for streetscape improvements along a good portion of it. What's called a LOTSIP, or local capital improvement grant. That's actually state money that the town has received that needs to get going. And we also have the potential for what has been called workforce housing on town-owned property opposite Save More Plaza. That is just in discussion phases. No decision has been made by the town as to whether or not they have an interest or willingness to even dispose of the property and move forward. But that is a proposal that is out there at this point. And then just outside just to the north of it, there's an additional housing development that's moving forward called Abbey Court, that's being put in by the same developer of the housing development up at the corner of Blue Hills and Park Ave,
That's Rehoboth, is that the name?
Rehoboth, yeah.
Rehoboth.
And John, there's also right outside or on the border of the district, and I can't remember if it's east or western side, Rockwell Park got the grant
Oh,
That's
right.
correct. Yep.
also. They got
Yeah.
a SIF grant to make some.
Thank you,
improvements
Denise.
and expand that. So,
So I'd like to have this a topic of discussion at the next meeting. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it. I don't want to force and push something that the commission doesn't feel that they are interested in doing. I obviously have a lot of interest in doing it. I think that it, while parts of the community are looking at the center of town, that is not the only place that needs development. And I think there's an awful lot of opportunities and possibilities on the Blue Hills Avenue area. And I think that we have to be inclusive, we've got to look at everybody, not just look at certain parts of town. So
And I
again,
would note, Bonnie, that I actually took a look at the TIF policies last night. And this commission has a specific role in that policy to review
right.
any TIF project that actually comes to fruition.
And we do,
all
but we
three of
don't
the
have an
districts.
John, we don't have any agency or an entity yet to do the TIF, correct?
You don't have a TIF committee yet, no, but there's both a TIF committee, but there's also spelled out a role for the EDC.
Right. And again, they are going to, the TIF committee is going to ask for a representative from this group. I'm the default representative, but anyone who is interested, but please encourage you once it becomes closer to reality, and please think about it. Okay. Is there any public comment? Think so? Nope, there's no public. Okay. And if there's no other business to be discussed, the next meeting is June 11th at 8:30. Oh, one other quick thing. I also want to talk about the next meeting, whether we want to, from time to time, have an in-person meeting. We have the ability, in theory, to do a hybrid in-person and Zoom, but I don't know, John and Linda, they seem to be somewhat problematic, but that is the other option.
They're a bit of a challenge in terms of staffing. That's the real
Right.
challenge.
And I don't think that we are a priority staffing entity at the moment. So I'd like to make it as easy as possible for everybody. So again, think about it. Now I'm thinking maybe every quarter we'd meet in person, and then the rest of the time we continue to meet in a Zoom meeting. Or if the pleasure of the commission is just to go Zoom, I have no issue with that either. Any comments, questions before we call for adjournment? Okay, I think it was a great meeting today. I hope you enjoyed it. Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Sadiq, and second? Second, Tyreka. All those in favor?
Aye.
Happy Memorial Day to everyone, and we will see you in June.
take care, everybody.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody.
Take care, everyone.